This is Josiah Plays Pillars of Eternity. Okay, so Anonymous, how you doing? Good to see you. Welcome back. Participating in the Animancy debate is what advances the game to Act 3, just so you know. Oh, okay. Well, now I know that. I thought it was going to be like a plot thing, like the plot has to advance a certain amount before I can do that. But now that I know that, I'll make sure I do that last. You love animancers, don't you? They're just great, aren't they? All of their making undead and their... Animancers are awesome. You know they are because they've done wonderful things. You know, like... Science of soul manipulation. You know they're great, though, because they've done wonderful things like the Salvation. An attempt by animancers to curtail the number of Hollowborn deaths during Widewind's legacy by transfusing the souls of animals into Hollowborn children in hopes they could care for themselves. The practice was a catastrophic failure, resulting without exception in the creation of wicts, and is often called the Cruel Salvation. Gosh, what's a wict, I wonder? Oh, it's a Hollowborn child that has, through the science of animancy, been made the vessel of the soul of an animal. In time, all such children become feral and violent. And... you know, yeah, this is what animancers do. They turn kids into this. Hollowborn children are gross. At least they tried. At least they tried. Where's the part where it says that there were like tens of thousands of them? I don't remember where I read that. Transformation into ravening beasts. Well, yeah, it was hard to predict, but like, maybe they should, before they did it to tens of thousands, maybe they should have, you know, like had a clinical trial, is all I'm saying. Like, maybe we just do this with like 10 kids and like let them grow up and we see what happens or whatever. Or 100 kids. But no, now there's like crap loads of wicks running around, eating people. Animancy. You know, and like, they also created all this undead and stuff. Where's my thing about... you know, Pangram was, oh, he was this great animancer, yay. Reached the point, he could, you know, did this great thing where he discovered eternal life. Yay, discovered eternal life. Good for him. That sounds like a good thing. Well done, animancy. That's really wonderful that he discovered eternal life. But wait, what? Wait, what? What happened? Oh no, the creatures it created were dangerous carnivorous beasts that killed brutally and indiscriminately. Well, shit. Who knew that was gonna happen? So he just created craploads of undead that are running around, like, killing people too. So far, this is what we've seen that animancy does. You fuck around with animancy and, like, monsters get made. And then they run around killing people. I can see why, you know, there's a little bit of a backlash against it. Like, hey, you know, we're just saying, like, what if, just throwing this out there, what if we didn't have a bunch of people practicing an art that creates monsters that kill everybody? What if we didn't do that? Like, what just happened? What's this guy want? No, stop that, game. Keep doing that to me. A supplicant has arrived from Deerfield Village seeking 850 copper or an escort. Oh, really? You're gonna play this game? Well, fine. I mean, I'm not gonna pay you, obviously, but I'll send one of my useless people with you. Go. Why can't I select? Oh, I can. Catriel. She's escorted a bunch of these people home. Take them home. So you say that, but Deerwood has no government control over magic. So once the first few desperate families done that and it looked to be working, it's not hard to imagine more and more going for it. In a few months, everyone was doing that. Yeah, I know, it makes sense, but... it just seems like this animancy stuff is so risky that, you know, the Deerwood deciding to put some controls on it would seem like a good idea. Which is obviously what these hearings are about. They're deciding whether or not they're gonna ban it or control it or what. Or just be like, no, whatever, Animancers, do whatever you want. We don't care. Obviously, the Animancers want them to say, do whatever you want, we don't care. But generally, when you have some kind of powerful thing like that, which can have crazy side effects like creating monsters, generally, it's not a good idea to just let people do what they want. I'm just saying. Like... Alright, we're going in here. We are going in here. So, I don't remember what Pallegina wanted me to do in here. Let's find out. Child of Five Sons is a cool name for a quest, though. Pallegina feels she's been wasting her time on trivial tasks in Defiance Bay. She believes there are more serious threats to the Valian Republics and wants your help in pursuing them. Speak to Agosti. Pallegina wants to speak to Ambassador Agosti at the Valian Embassy in First Fires. So, we're looking for this Agosti fellow. So here's the embassy. This looks nice. It looks a whole lot like the Ducal Palace. Ooh. Oh, there he is right there. Well, that was easy. I don't think I've read this book on Galvid Regd before. I might have read it. Actually, I think I did read this. Checking my books to see if I have it doesn't really help anymore because I accidentally sold a bunch of my books. Which, again, I'm very sad about because I wanted to keep all the books. Well, what the hell, I'll read it again. I might have already read this one on the playthrough. But I'm going to read it again because I'm not 100% sure if I did or not. So let's read it. Because I know we have some reading fans watching right now. Mention the name Regd in Air Glanfeth and you'll be told stories of a glorious freedom fighter, an Orlan who used his tactical savvy and battle training to protect the Glanfathans from the encroaching evil of the invaders in the Deerwood. Ask someone in the Deerwood about him, and you'll hear angry retellings of the exploits of an underhanded, dirty-fighting Orlan who terrorized Deerwooden citizens. This conflict is what legends are built on, and Galvin Regd is the stuff of legends. The Broken Stone War began from a misunderstanding between the Glanfathans who lived in the Deerwood and the Adiran colonists who were moving in. Tensions were already high between the two groups, as the Adirans claimed land the Glanfathans said they already owned. Add to it the Glanfathans taken and forced into slavery by the Adirans, and it was only a matter of time before something snapped and sent the two groups to war. There was the occasional skirmish or fight between isolated groups, but no real conflict until the Broken Stone War. Whether intentional or not, Adiran farmers, clearing land for their crops, knocked over and destroyed one of the ancient menhirs that dot the countryside. The Glanfathans, who revered the ancient structures in the Deerwood, reacted swiftly and violently, led by a particularly fanatical Fang by the name of Regd. While the war was short-lived and the Glanfathans were ultimately not the victors, Regd and his forces were able to eliminate a significant number of colonists. Yes, reading fans, like you. After the war ended, Regd was appointed the Galvin, or leader of the Glanfathan tribes. His leadership skills and prowess in battle earned him the respect of all the tribes of Air Glanfeth. Because all the tribes were unified behind him, He was able to move and coordinate their warriors in a way that organized them into such an efficient team, the Adiran colonists lived in fear of his next attack. His name and reputation spread through both lands. Over 2 years following the Broken Stone War, Regd and his forces, using deception, misinformation, and straightforward guerrilla tactics, killed hundreds. The remaining earls sent word to the fair Koning, saying something must be done before more nobility is killed. But Regd continues to terrorize the colonists, and it seemed the campaign will never end. That is, until he encountered Edrang Hadrit, who was Admeth Hadrit's father. And he's basically the one who won the Brokenstone War for the Deerwoodens, or who were at the time just Adiran colonists, because the actual nation of Deerwood had not yet been founded. Alright. Well, obviously...
Ambassador Augusti.
Oh.
I would speak with you on a matter of some urgency and great importance.
I was like, obviously I'm going to wait to talk to him until after I've explored the rest of the building, because that's what I do. But Pallegina's like, fuck that. We're talking to him now. She smiles broadly when she addresses the ambassador. Sighing as though remembering some heavy burden, Vicente crosses his arms before replying. Pallegina, if this is the same matter we previously discussed, I doubt I will be convinced any more easily. Interesting choices here. Could just shut the hell up. I think I'll just shut the hell up this time.
Ambassador, I implore you to take a step back and look at this again.
Ambassador Augusti. Did you say it's some event? Yeah. Augusti holds up his hand and cuts Pallegina off in a strident tone. Enough! We're not going over Defiance Bay's animancers again! The Duke's Bell's desires have not changed since the last time we spoke. If you haven't heard, word of your insubordination has already found the ears of the Duchessa of Biagepe and the Duke of Celona. There are murmurs that you cannot be trusted to fulfill your duties. Must this talk reach the shores of Spirento? Pallegina's aggressive demeanor drains to a state of shock and worry, but she remains silent. I might not... Well, I could just keep shutting up, but now he's pissing me off a little bit. What kind of spineless do-nothing are you? If you and the Dukes aren't going to take her seriously, shove off. Pallegina's golden eyes grow wide, but she remains speechless. Despite her shock, a stifled smile breaks through for a moment. The ambassador blinks, clearly unprepared for your outburst. Well, we all have our roles to play. For better or worse, I am the Duke's representative, not Pallegina's advocate.
What is it the Dukes need of me, Ambassador?
Pallegina recovers her determined demeanor. The Deerwood's instability has created an opportunity for us to take over their trade with Air Glanfath. We will need to meet with the Glanfathans soon to secure upcoming trade arrangements. The roads to Twin Elms can be dangerous, of course, but that's why you'll be our representative there.
It shows, Ambassador. But won't this provoke the Deerwoodens? Their country is falling apart, and we're already dividing up their trade alliances.
Pallegina's feathers ruffle, but she speaks with an unusually meek timbre. I wonder if Echosi, whatever, means like something like thank you. In Valian. Provoke them into what? Going to war? Through no fault of the Republic's, the Deerwood's armies have been deprived of an entire generation of soldiers. It would be foolish not to take advantage of the situation. If we don't, the Rayad Serens will. Got a point there. Ambassador, that's some cold compassion, considering what these people have been through.
More than that, Ambassador, there is a practical element to consider. We may profit in the short term from this arrangement, but what of the future? The Deerwood won't forget, and the Republics may pay the price for it.
She's got a point. The ambassador sighs. We are not the Dukes, Palagina. It's their decision and our job to carry out the orders. It's not like they're asking you to assassinate someone. Yeah, Palagina's awesome. She is hot. And she's a bird woman of sorts. Palagina raises an eyebrow, clenches her jaw, but remains silent. Palagina, Palagina! He shakes his head. Go to Twin Elms. Speak to the of the what now? The Anamenvath. Impress upon her the instability of the Deerwood, and reassure her of the Valian Republic's desire to open safe trade.
Of course, Ambassador.
After a long and uncomfortable pause, Palagina exhales deeply, the lids of her eyes closing briefly as she slumps in acceptance. Well, I don't know if I'm going to get a choice in this, but I'm going to try to talk her out of it, because it's obviously not something she wants to do. And I'm going to try to talk her into, like, telling the Valians to fuck off. The ambassador nods and smiles paternally. He then looks to you. I know you planned on investigating this crisis together, but I hope you understand Palagina's responsibilities. Right now, her responsibility is to do what I tell her, because she's in my party, sir. But, you know, we're cool. And my responsibility is to steal anything I can from your embassy. Nod non-committally. Wink obnoxiously at Pelagia. No. I understand, but we're still going to investigate it, responsibilities or not. Vicente bristles and turns to Palagina. Will the Dukes need to hear more about Palagina Mesre's wild adventures?
Of course not, Ambassador. I will attend to the Anamenvath as soon as I am able to travel to Twin Elms.
Palagina holds up her hands. Yeah, you'll be able to travel there once I say we can travel there. And by that I actually mean once the game probably allows us. We probably literally cannot physically travel there yet. I imagine that because we're not in Act 3, there'll be some way that we can't actually get there. That's what I think is the case. Just like we couldn't get to Defiance Bay until we finished Act 1. Good. Now, if you'll excuse me. I guess he's gonna leave now. Alright, bye.
Could have gone better. Could have gone worse. I appreciate that you stood up for me, but it's hard to persuade the ambassador to go against the Duke's orders.
Oh, hell no. I know you're right, Palagina. We may find a way for you to fulfill your obligations while looking into what's really going on around here. Don't worry.
Enough wisdom for both of us. Now, I just need to find out how to get to Twin Elms before the ambassador loses his patience.
She pauses in thought. Still, I fear that making this deal with the Ganfatans will further weaken the Deerwood and make trouble for the Republics in years to come. I don't do her voice very well. I would do it more like the way I do my main character's voice, but I don't want her voice to sound exactly like my main character's voice when I'm reading out lines back and forth. So I've kind of changed her voice some, just to make it sound different. I've tried to make it sound a little bit more African than Italian, I guess. Follow your heart. Do what you believe will be best for the Republics.
I wish I knew.
Oh, we just gained a bunch of XP. So, quest updated. Help Pallegina broker a trade agreement with the Anamenfeth in Twin Elms. Despite her best efforts, Ambassador Augusti has insisted that Pallegina carry out her orders to broker a trade agreement between the Valian Republics and the Glenfathans with the Anamenfeth in Twin Elms. Such an agreement would steal trade away from the Deerwood, an act that would increase tensions between the Deerwood and the Republics. My voice acting is not the actual best. My voice acting is mostly terrible. Occasionally, I've done a character that I thought I sounded pretty decent with, but mostly it's pretty bad. I think it's pretty bad. On the other hand, I am just reading these off the cuff. I mean, this is all blind reading. I've never read any of this before. And most of the time, I haven't had any time to even think about the characters or like who they are or what they should sound like. So considering it's all basically improv, I guess it's not totally bad. Okay. So, what am I doing? Why am I just looking at random screens right now? Oh yeah, I don't... Okay. And Aloth is off on yet another adventure. Don't know why it's doing that. Oh yeah. So, yeah, she's pretty cool. I like her. She's a paladin. But she's like kind of a different, weird sort of paladin. Avian godlike. So, like, this is all, like, feathers. I think she has some normal hair also, but she's definitely got feathers in her hair. Like, on her portrait here, they don't really look green like this, but on her character, you can see that, like, all those cool green feathers in her hair. Pretty neat. She might be my favorite my favorite companion. Grieving Mother might be my favorite. It's hard for me to tell because there's still a lot of mystery to her story that I haven't gotten. So she might end up being my favorite. Right now, she just jingle jangles a lot. And when
Your mind comes bearing questions, Watcher.
And yeah, she won't tell me anything new right now.
Que? Need something?
Doesn't look like she has anything new to say either.
Yes?
Yeah, can you tell me anything about...
Mysterious figures and crumbling ruins. Ah, we've stepped into the very best of tales.
This right here would be Jen's response. Quiet, Kana, your enthusiasm grates on me. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. Well, I send Aloth off on the adventures from my stronghold, so he's like continuing to get experience and stuff. I might end up using him some later. He's the first companion you get, too. He was my first one. He popped my companion cherry. I don't think I really needed to use that particular phrase right there. Kana STFU. The thing is, Kana's like the source of lore, though. He's the one that always tells you about places when you go there. So, like, if you don't have Kana, you don't get like the backstory of all the places when you go to them. Because he's the guy that knows all the lore. I'm hungover. Bring the pep down a few levels. You've had run-ins with the leaden key before, haven't you? I'm asking this question. We've already talked about this. We've discussed this at length, but alright, I'm asking the question.
I have, but it isn't as if we spoke very long. There's still a mystery in many respects. Secret societies have always fascinated me. There have been famed groups made up of everything from dragon hunters to angry farmers. What secrets bind this one together?
Oh, that's it, I guess. That's our whole conversation.
Yes? Yes, my friend?
Okay, he's saying the same thing he said when we were out in the...
Hello?
Yeah, so he always has the
Hello?
lore. And... Plus, a chanter, he's just really good. And he's really, really useful in combat. I gotta have Durance and Adair. Well, Adair's like, I would be destroyed if I didn't have him. He does all the tanking for me, and I have to have him. But also, him and Durance seem to be the two that are the most tied in to the main plotline of the game. So I feel like I have to have them, because they're gonna probably have the most reactions and relevant stuff to deal with, like, the main story. Kana too, to an extent. Pelagina and Grieving Mother are both kind of optional and not as tied to the main story, but they're the two that I actually like the most, as far as that. I think they're the most interesting characters. So Aloth just kind of, I didn't have room for him this playthrough. Next playthrough, I'll definitely have him the entire time.
Of course.
Oh, I thought he left. He's back?
Hail, traveler.
What can this humble servant of the Republics do for you?
Paladin chick, pun intended. Nice. I see what you did there. She's made a decent amount of comments so far. She's awesome too. I mean, she kicks butt in combat. Like, my whole team that I have here synergizes really well together. I really don't miss the druid and the wizard, and the ranger, of course, is friggin' useless. I'll take her in my next playthrough just because I want to have all the, like, the 3 that I don't have. I will definitely be on my team the whole time next playthrough, and then I'll get to have 2 of these again in the next playthrough, or I could make 2 regular NPCs from the inn that don't have any personality, but I doubt I'll do that on my second playthrough either. Third playthrough will probably be solo, and fourth playthrough will probably be custom party of all 6 of my own characters. So I can just power game the shit out of it. We'll see though. Alright, hold
Greetings.
on. What do you do here?
As the Valiant ambassador, my job is to ensure trade with the Deerwood remains strong and profitable. If there's nothing else, I must return to my duties.
I just saw you just standing around. I know you're just standing around. Don't lie to me about duties. You're just standing around. Yeah, there is one other female companion besides the 2 that I have, and that's the Dwarf Ranger, Sagani. And she seems kind of cool, but she's definitely by far the most useless character in a fight out of all of the companions. And her personality, while kind of interesting, is not as interesting as these others to me. But there's 8 companions and only 3 of them are female, which I'm surprised by. But, you know, it was a kickstarted game. It didn't have a gigantic budget. There's other companions they would have liked to have made, but they just didn't have time and money enough to make more than these 8. So, like, my character's Valian as well, my protagonist, but I'm not from the Valian Republics. I'm from Old Vailia, which... Old Vailia is like Rome, whereas the Valian Republics are more like Renaissance Northern Italy, like, you know, Milan and Venice and Florence in the Renaissance, whereas Old Vailia is more like Rome, you know, after the decline of Rome. So, you know, there's obviously the Valian Republics came from Old Vailia, but Old Vailia is on the other side of the ocean. It's far away. Whereas the Valian Republics, where she's from, are right here. They're like close to where we are. They're just to the south of here. Of the Deerwood. So that's the difference. But there's still, obviously, there's the same kind of ethnicity or whatever, but culturally they're not exactly the same. Where's the holy sword for his duties? Missing your harem of half-elf romances from Baldur's Gate 2, are we? What harem of half-elf? Well, I guess, oh yeah, you've got Jaheira, she's a half-elf, right? And then there's Aerie, but she's a full elf, I think. And there's Viconia, she's an elf, a drow elf. I don't remember which other romances you had. Like, which guys you could romance, because I never played a female character in Baldur's Gate 2. And tried any of the male romances. I've actually only played through Baldur's Gate 2 once. Which is weird, but true. Yeah, I usually like elves the best too, Jen. What am I even doing right now? Oh yeah. So I was talking about how my character doesn't really give a shit about the dukes of the Valiant Republics and their laws and shit. Because even though I'm Valiant, I'm from Old Vailia, and I was a dissident. So breaking Valiant rules is like what I'm all about. So I'm gonna try to convince Pallegina to tell them to fuck right off and just do her own thing. Where's my background? It tells me that because then I answered those questions in the beginning about my... See, I was from Old Vailia, but I was accused of crimes and held prisoner, and then I escaped, and I'm on the run. So, you know, I'm not much of one for authority figures. Yeah, so that's my side of this Pallegina thing. There will be in no way will I ever be encouraging her to like do what her superiors tell her.
Greetings.
Tell me about the Valiant Republics. They are rich in all ways, in wealth, in style, in culture. If you were to go to the Republics, you would not want to leave. Why would you? The people are beautiful and charming. I am here because the Songreta Ducala wishes it, but when my appointment is done, I will be on the first ship out, and I will sing from here to Salona. Callie is rather cocky herder, isn't she? Cocky, really? Cocky? That's what you're going with? That was a pretty foul joke, sir. Old Vailia so friggin' special. If there's nothing else, I must return to my duties. If there's nothing else, I must return to my duties! Pallegina said you could use my help with something. Of course, of course! Word has reached my ears how you crossed blades with the Dominels. And yet, here you are still. Oh, cool. So because I pissed off the Dominels, this guy's got like a quest or something for me. That's really neat. Quite impressive. Berzano was most fortunate you came along. Oh yeah, I helped out Verzano, and he was a Valiant guy. So that's like a double thing. But, on to business! A rather notorious adventuring party calling themselves the Forgotten have made a name for themselves by raiding Ingwithan ruins in the Dare Wood and selling the stolen relics to their patrons back in the Valiant Republics. I need them stopped. I'm sure you're aware that trade in Ingwithan relics is strictly forbidden in the Deer Wood. Were it known that prominent nobles in the republics were flagrantly defying the Duke's ban on the looting of Ingwithan ruins, it would put a number of valuable trade agreements in jeopardy, or even cause Defiance Bay to embargo Valiant goods. I can't let that happen. So all of these guards I have working for me, they cannot go do this, of course. I have to get some random person that I just met to do it, because that seems like a logical thing for a government employee to do. Why not just have him killed? That's a pretty cold answer, but that's what I'm thinking as a player. Why not just have them killed? The authorities in Defiance Bay have no idea this smuggling is going on? I'm sure rumors have reached their ears, but if they suspected that there was any truth to them, they'd have summoned me before them. That hasn't happened yet. I'll help. What do you need me to do? He smiles in relief. Thank you. A prominent merchant in the Republics, Mr. Bacosi, has also developed an interest in obtaining Ingwithan relics and sent a buyer to Defiance Bay to meet with the Forgotten.
I arranged for the Knights of the Crucible to detain the buyer for questioning. I may have suggested that the buyer was a wanted criminal. I'll need you to go in the buyer's place, posing as Barkosi's representative, and learn how the Forgotten are smuggling the relics through Defiance Bay. With that knowledge, I can take steps to discreetly dismantle their operation and discredit them in the eyes of their patrons.
Plausible deniability. Yeah, that actually makes sense. That makes total sense. That's a good point, Anonymous. Plausible deniability would be important in this situation. And if he sends his own personnel, he pretty much loses that plausible deniability. But he can disown us, no problem. Although that makes it tricky since Palagina's in my party and she is part of his personnel, but let's not bicker over details. Okay, sure. Very well. Yay, got another quest. Vicente Agosti wants me to stop an adventuring party from looting Ingwithan ruins and causing a diplomatic incident. Go to Edelwyn Bridge. The Forgotten are waiting for Mestre Barkosi's buyer at Edelwyn Bridge. Agosti wants me to go in the buyer's place in order to uncover details about the Forgotten's Ingwithan relic smuggling operation. Oh, Edelwyn Bridge. Okay, cool. So something relevant is going to happen on that map. That's nice.
Light, flame, and sound.
You've brought me good news, I hope.
Very well. I don't have any news for you, sir. Why is that gotta be red?
All right, then.
My thoughts will be as silent as my feet.
Alright, we've read all that. We've read all that. These postings show current prices for a range of commodities, and they track the running exchange rate for the Valian Luthche. Alright, so the question is, how sneaky can I be? The answer is, it's not looking good.
Sure.
Getting that looks like it'll be very difficult. Let's try it, though. Just jam over there real quick. Oh, no, that guy's perceptive as hell. Maybe I can come from this direction. Maybe these guys aren't that perceptive. Nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. You know how... I'm still detected. Now it's this guy? Come on, there's a pillar in between us. Of eternity. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I got this. Let's not beaker about Palagina. You got jokes. You got jokes. Oh, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Especially since you didn't think these up ahead of time. You're just winging it. Yeah, there's no friggin' way. There's no way I'm getting to that without getting seen. Go, 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 go. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can't do it. Okay. Well, let's see what it would have been. Oh, I want a Rite of Ancient Legends and 200 loose chays? What do I gotta do? Maybe after I complete the quests for these people, I'll just butcher them. No, I won't do that. Not on this playthrough, but there will be a time when I play my rogue. There will be blood. There will be looting. There will be all cruel responses selected in dialogue. Winging it while playing. You know.
Why, I could bed down here.
You know, there's some people's chats where, like, stupid jokes don't fly, but around here they do. They fly. Spread across the table are the blueprints of an in-progress trade deal between a merchant company, motherfucker. A merchant company from the Republics and a Deerwood and Weirwool collective. Alright. So these people are some traders there. Hey! I'm very pleased that you've left this chest completely unguarded. 8 mechanics? Don't even talk to me about 8 mechanics. I got 8 mechanics all day. I have exactly 8 mechanics. The flag depicts the symbol of the Valian Republics, a ship sailing beneath 5 radiant stars.
This won't stop me for long.
That's a grip of XP too from just picking. Like, can we lock it again and pick it again? No. Ooh, oh, it's a figurine. It's a figurine. Figurines are so good. They're so good. I have 2 of them and they're awesome. Okay, cool. What's this one do? Obsidian lamp figurine. Summons 3 shades. Holy shit. That is incredibly powerful. Because shades are total badasses. If I saw 3 shades, I would be scared. Summon 3 shades once per rest. This is like the most powerful magic item I've found in the game, basically. So far. This champ? I don't know what a champ is, but, yeah, I said champ on purpose, because it's shadowy, and it's a lamp. It's a shadow lamp. Champ? Yep. This lamp seems to swallow light, showing no reflection upon its surface. It's cold to the touch, and when held to one's ear, a quiet susurrus can be heard. The lamp is sealed with a piece of cork, on which a single rune is inscribed. So this is like, you know, an evil genie's lamp. Oh, that thing's amazing. Oh, that's awesome. That will be so helpful. Okay, she's already got her Onomat summoning one. I think actually, get rid of that. She's going to use this instead. She's got the one that summons the beetles, which is also a really good item. Somebody's got to use the Onomat one, though. Because all the summons will happen. Alright, he's my scroll guy. She probably doesn't need to have all these potions on. Then again, I don't want her wasting time summoning stuff either, though. I want her running in there kicking ass. Kana should really have one of the summons. But I want him to have all these scrolls. Who else has 6 lore? No. No. Oh, Currents could use the revival one. Okay. So, let's take the revival scroll off of Kana. Put it on Durance, and he can use that instead of... You know, he doesn't really need those potions, honestly. We can divide those potions back out amongst... About 6 was the stack size for potions. Am I wrong? Fine. Okay. And that way Kana can use this figurine. Now if I want to, if it's a really hard fight, I can summon 3 shades and 3 beetles and an Anomat, which is quite a summoned army, really. 3 shades though. Shades. Shades are like the toughest things I've fought in the game, practically. 3 of them. Man, it was worth it stealing from this place. Yay, having 8 mechanics. I wonder how early in the game, how early you could get here and get that thing. Like, I'm thinking in terms of, like, when I want to try soloing or go for the Triple Crown or whatever. I guess you could come directly here as soon as you finish Act 1 and get that thing. It would really help. If you were playing a rogue or a character that had very high mechanics. I'm hearing like the spirit sounds.
Why not?
I'm a fan of the fact that there's nobody guarding these chests either. Thank you. I will take. Already read that book, but I'll still take it. Alright. Well, I'm so excited about my new shade summoning item. It's not, literally out of every single like magic item I have found in the game, that is the one that has me the most like excited because it's so good. What else have I even found that's decent? I mean, I've found some pretty good stuff, I guess, but although that Footpad's hood made me pretty freaking happy too. Forgiveness is a pretty nice pistol. That sun-touched mail is pretty awesome also. Every time you summon shades, you say deal with it out loud. Is that true? That's awesome. Alright, Seal of Faith's a pretty amazing ring, but I didn't find it, I bought it. Justice is a decent greatsword. Daunting Belt I bought. Hearth Harvest is... Okay, Hearth Harvest I was pretty friggin' excited about finding too. Because it's a hatchet. It's the specific kind of weapon I wanted for him. And it's a good hatchet with a lot of cool stuff on it. So maybe that... But that... And when I found the thing that summoned the 3 beetles too, I was like, holy shit, that's amazing, because those beetles are badass. And that was I just found hidden under a cobblestone in the Copperlane district. So you could come here like, because somebody on one of my YouTube videos of this mentioned how he got through. How he kind of got through Act 1 and was able to get Grieving Mother, because he went and got Grieving Mother and then went back and was doing like the early quests in Gilded Vale with her, like the one with Afra, and there was special dialogue when you were talking to Afra, the woman who wanted you to help her with her hollow-born baby. If you have Grieving Mother with you, there's like special dialogue that happens with that quest, and I was remarking on how like extremely unlikely it is that anyone would ever have Grieving Mother in their party when they were doing that quest, because you get that quest in the very first town and you can't even go over and get Grieving Mother yet because you're locked off from this area by the end of by having to end Act 1. So who would like complete Act 1, go all the way over, get Grieving Mother, and then go back and do like those Gilded Vale quests? Like hardly anybody would do that. And so you would think that there wouldn't be special dialogue for that, but there is. They actually went ahead and wrote dialogue for that situation just in case somebody did that. I thought that was pretty impressive. But anyway, so you could try to sneak over here and get here as fast as possible on like a solo playthrough or a triple crown or whatever, somewhere where you need like every advantage you could get. And you could get the beetle summoning thing and the shade summoning thing easily. I mean, no effort. The beetle summoning thing, you just walk up and find it. And this, you can just walk in here, and as long as you had at least 7 in mechanics and some lockpicks, you could get that thing. And that would be amazing. Okay. Anyway, I think we're done in here, right? We are. Beetles gross. Yeah, they're kind of gross, but they're also kind of awesome. Okay, so that just leaves Crucible Keep. And after we go into Crucible Keep, we will have officially gone into and explored, well, yeah, except for Heritage Hill, explored the entire city and all of the buildings within it. Heritage Hill, I'm not counting because it's less a part of the city and more like an adventure zone. Where do we go? Edowin Bridge for that one task? Alright. I realized something, though. I gotta go finish this just for the sake of... If I don't do this, then... You know, my pledge to read everything is just a lie. There were 2 guys up here. That's my fault. I did that. I got that kid that knife. My bad. I saw these two guys over here and I never actually talked to them. And now I have to. And by guys, I guess they're both women. Or that one's definitely a woman. That one, I guess, maybe isn't a woman. But yeah, these are a couple of vibrant histories that I've got to read right now. Because otherwise I won't have read them all. And then I'm a liar. So here we go. I don't know why I'm quick saving before reading vibrant histories, but whatever. So this is 12 Charms, Maggie Tiller. Vibrant history, reach for the soul. Oh, it's a nice long one. Awesome. You see a small mobile stall covered with various goods and sundries. This woman is standing next to it, engaged in a lively discussion with a man who is holding one of the items she is selling. She has a light, friendly countenance and is trying to explain to the man how to control the item. He moves his hands around the top of it and mutters what sounds to be gibberish. After several attempts, he growls and thrusts the item back at her and starts to turn away. She stops him with a hand on his shoulder and holds the item up in front of his face. She traces a finger over the top of it, slowly and distinctly repeating the same phrase over and over. The object suddenly lights up, shining as brightly as a torch. The man's face brightens as well, and he looks at her expectantly. She runs 2 fingers down the side of the object, and the light extinguishes. She hands it back to him and takes her place behind, guiding his hands as she whispers the words to say in his ear. Many failed attempts later, the man is able to light the object on every try. Elated, he hands it back to her as she makes her way behind the cart. While he searches for appropriate coin, she places the item on a shelf under the backside of the cart and replaces it with another from a small box next to it. Money and goods are exchanged and she watches the man leave, satisfied with his purchase. Then she scans the crowd looking for her next mark. Okay, so she obviously sold fake charms. Some of them were real, but then she didn't actually sell the real one, she sold a fake one. That's awesome. That's really cool. That sounds like she really had her hustle going. And what about Coddler? Really? Coddler Cohen, who is another death god-like with his ridiculous-looking head. You see a man preaching, his voice washing over a small crowd of eager acolytes. He speaks of tolerance and of self-reliance, of pain and of beauty. The crowd nods, agreement clear on their transparent faces, and the preacher frowns. There are 2 more rather easily accessible summons figurines in Defiance Bay. The best one, however, won't be quite. 2 more besides the Beetles and the Shades? I think I saw one for sale somewhere in here, if that's one of the ones you're talking about. I can't remember what it summoned, but it was expensive, so I didn't bother with it yet, but then there's another one that can be found in Defiance Bay too, huh? Is that what you're saying? Well, I haven't been to what do you call it, Heritage Hill yet, so it wouldn't surprise me if there's one there. Pain of beauty. The crowd nods, agreement clear on their transparent faces. And the preacher frowns. I don't think that means anything. And the preacher frowns. He continues, speaking of the importance of anger, the strength of hatred and frustration. His frown deepens as they nod, enraptured. He calls forth one of their number, an older man. It is safe, the preacher says. No harm will come to him. Smiling, the man walks forward into the preacher's embrace. A shudder rocks his frame as he pushes away, a thin stiletto through his chest. He falls to the ground and does not breathe long. The crowd groans, confused. The preacher's face is dark with rage. Do not trust blindly, he says. Do not take the world at its face. Terrible things lie beneath, and you must be prepared before you see the truth. The crowd thins, the body removed, the preacher silent. A few remain to listen, and to them he smiles. Well, that's a pretty fucked up preacher. I'm not sure that I really want to listen to anything that a person who just murders someone who's in the congregation says. I think I'd be pretty done with that shit. no. Alright, good. Now I've actually done everything in the outside of his zone, now that I took care of those last two. So we'll go back to... We'll go in here. So we do have a thing to do in this place as well. We have a thing to do in this place as well, and that thing is... Rogue Knight. Osric was kicked out of the Crucible Knights by a fellow knight named Penhelm. Worse, his superiors confiscated a breastplate that's been in his family for generations. Osric has asked me to retrieve a breastplate from Penhelm. He believes his rival might have forged a document from Dunreed Row verifying the purity of his soul. If I can prove Penhelm's forgery, I may have some leverage to get the breastplate back. Find the heirloom breastplate. Osric, a trainer at the Expedition Hall in Copper Lane, told me that his breastplate would be somewhere in the Crucible Keep in First Fires. He also mentioned that Penhelm, the keeper of the armory, was one of the officers who had him expelled and is unlikely to return the heirloom willingly. Keeper of the armory might have forged. So I need to try to find some evidence in here that this guy forged the thing, so that I can lean on him and get this breastplate back for Osric. Or maybe I can just steal the breastplate back, or maybe I can just use persuasion of some sort to talk the guy into, you know. So we'll see. There's probably multiple ways to... Why doesn't Grieving Mother have a name? Well, that is her name. Actually, it's pretty interesting. When you go through the dialogue with her, I gave her that name. Like, that wasn't a name that she had before. She got that name from me. I mean, I didn't specifically, like, say that was her name, but, like, she's a cipher, like my character. She's a mind mage. So, like, a lot of your conversations with her take place without words. Like, as you're, like, just seeing things in her mind, and she's seeing things in yours. So Grieving Mother is just like the impression that my character got of her spirit or whatever. And so that's how I was thinking of her. So then she took on that name as it was like sort of the iconic representation of... But her name itself, I can't remember exactly what she said. Either she lost her name somehow or forgot it.
Yeah.
Or like never had a name or something like that. But yeah, but I think she doesn't even know her own real name, and nobody else does either. What did he just say? What business brings you to the keep? Yeah, well, because she's still wearing the chimes.
Your thoughts must flow deeply indeed.
And so, yeah, sometimes when you select her, you just hear the chimes instead of her actually saying something.
Huh?
Yeah, she's the most interesting of all the characters, as far as I'm concerned. Like, her whole story and the things with her, a lot of it I don't know yet, because it's all mysterious and she hasn't revealed that much to me yet, but it seems very fascinating. She's probably my favorite. I mean, Pallegina is probably my most obvious favorite, because I know a lot more about her than I know about her so far, but...
Your thoughts must flow deeply indeed.
Yeah, she's a pretty interesting character. She's the character that Chris Avallone wrote, so... I know her story is going to be really cool. Alright, here's Justicar Almer. This place is pretty good sized. Let's see what's happening here.
How do you do?
Aldmar gives you an appraising eye. Judging by the scars on his face, he's lucky to be able to do that much.
Every day we get more from the hinterlands pouring into Defiance Bay. Keeps us busy on the watch, it does. You look like you've recently arrived yourself.
Who are you?
A soldier of the Crucible Knights and proud of it. I help keep everything running at the keep so that Commander Cliver can focus on more important matters. Looking for something? Or just knocking the dirt off your boots?
Tell me about the Crucible Knights.
We're the defenders of Defiance Bay. We're not exactly a formal knighthood, but don't tell Commander Cliver I said that. He grins. We were the first organized militia to oppose Adiran rule, and today we're the largest force in the city. Our soldiers undergo years of combat training, and our officers are required to have their souls read by that critter out in Dunreed Row.
What's this about Dunreed Row?
Just a requirement of the Crucible Knights, so the higher-ups know there's nothing messy built in your soul's past.
Aldmar widens his stance.
Keeping the ranks pure is fine by me. I just wish they were more careful in hiring their ciphers.
Keeping the ranks pure, huh? What's wrong with their ciphers? He shifts his weight and glances at the empty halls. You know, I've noticed, I'll get back to it in a second. I've noticed there are a ton of dialogue options in this game that are only for Orlans. But I've seen, like, practically none that are only for Amawa, except for maybe there might have been one in talking to Kana. But you never see ones that require you to be on Amawa. But I've seen, like, boatloads. So it's probably worth playing through this once as an Orlan just because they have a lot of special dialogue. There's also been a fair amount of special dialogue options for different gods, which you can only pick if you're a priest. And there's been a couple for being a cipher, which is what I am. But I've never seen any for any other class. Like, either you're a priest of a certain god, or you're a cipher, or any other. I've never seen one that requires you to be a wizard, or one that requires you to be a fighter or a ranger or anything else. But I don't know. Of course, I haven't obviously gone through the whole game yet. Orlan is one of the races. I don't have one in my party. I do have one as a companion, but I don't keep him with me. They're the little guys. They're kind of like... Obviously, they're somewhat like halflings, or they're somewhat like gnomes, but they're not exactly... They're more nature-y than, like, traditional halflings or gnomes in most games. They have, like, kind of like big furry ears. Anyway, that's what Orlans are. You can choose one as your character if you want. And Amawa are the big guys, like Kana, the big like shark-toothed guys. I'm sure there's going to be lots of Orlans when I get to Twin Elms, which is like the druidy city. That's what your character... The companion you can get that's an Orlan, he's a druid. He's really cool, too. I'm sad not to have him with me, because his personality's hilarious. But I'll have him next time. He shifts his weight and glances at the empty halls.
They're mostly Orlans. I'm sure they're talented enough, but you just can't trust them. Hostility's in their nature, and they've learned to hide it over the years. He frowns and crosses his arms. All I'm saying is they should at least be supervised by other folk. That's reasonable enough, isn't it? Well, that is some racist-ass shit right there. Holy crap, this guy's a racist. They should be supervised?
What the fuck? Yeah, we should take those filthy Orlans and put them into their own little section of the city. We could call it something like, I don't know, a ghetto. And then, you know, we should watch over them. In fact, let's make some special camps for these Orlans. You know, just to make sure they're not out of line. Oh, I can vigorously object to it. That's good. Yeah, I would love to see what an Orlan can say in response to that. I can just be straight up, you're wrong. I usually always pick benevolent responses above anything else, but in this case, I'm going to choose this one. That's a horrible thing to say. Aldmar shrugs. I'm just speaking the truth. Nowadays, it seems that's the biggest crime of all. That's what fucking bigots always say. Bigots always say that shit. They always complain about, like, how they're just telling the truth, but like, oh, nowadays in our society, you're not even allowed to speak your mind. Oh, everything's political correctness, and everybody's more mad at me for... No, it's because you're saying some horrible bigoted shit, motherfucker. I know a good name for an Orlan ghetto. Zoo. Bestiary. Menagerie as well. Could be a place where you keep the Orlans. Oh, man. Hearth Orlans have the best racial ability too, though. They are badasses. Like, making a Hearth Orlan as a rogue is good times. Or any kind of damage dealer, really. I liked the Hobbit movies, by the way. I liked the Hobbit movies. Don't hate. Okay, what goes on in Crucible Keep besides racism? This is the headquarters of the Crucible Knights, so it's where we store arms and armor as well as where many of our soldiers bunk. Commander Cliver's in the back, making plans, as usual. He scratches a scarred cheek. You'll find the forge at the west end of the building, along with our master smith, Dunstan. I've heard he's good. There's also a shrine to the golem if you're the praying type. This seems like one of the coolest gods in this setting. It's Abaddon is the name of the god. It's literally a god who became a golem. And like I remember when I've read books now about all the gods, you know, about like their philosophy or like their prayers or whatever, and it seemed like the Abaddon book was the one that was the coolest. That I read it and I'm like, oh, this god's pretty badass. Yeah, the last one mostly wasn't that great. I mean, it wasn't as good as... I think they got progressively worse. I think the first one was the best. I'm talking about the Hobbit movies. The first one was the best, and the second was the second best, and the third was... Hey, kind of like the Matrix trilogy. You had the Matrix, which was really good, and then the second Matrix movie was halfway good, and then the third one was just like, oh my god, what have they done? Okay. So they have a shrine to Abaddon. They have a master smith who's supposed to be the best smith in town, or maybe the best smith in the whole nation or whatever. And then you have... a forge. Commander Cliven. Okay. That's all. Well, so far, I'm not a super huge fan of the Crucible Knights. Then again, I'm not a huge fan of the Dozens either. And of course, I hate House Dominel. So it seems like all the factions... I'm not a fan of any of the factions of this city. Really.
Alright then.
Looking for something, or just knocking the dirt off your boots?
Yes, I literally just came in here to clean off my boots on your fucking carpet. Now I'm gonna leave. Thanks, though. Like, if I'm just here knocking dirt off my boots, shouldn't you be, like, yelling at me? Wait.
If secrets whisper here, I shall listen for
Like, it seems incredibly unlikely that there's any hidden stuff in this hallway right here, but you never know. You never know. I didn't think I'd find a hidden awesome beetle summoning statue just under a cobblestone randomly in a town square, but I did. Well, that's a pretty cool looking shield sigil thing they have there. I can't really tell what that is on that side of it. Is it crossed picks or something? And that's a sword and that's an anvil. Oh, that's right. They mentioned that they were originally just a group of blacksmiths. And then they became soldiers. Okay. What's happening over here? Yeah, that's kind of like in like Dragon Age games. There's not really a single faction or group in that game that I particularly like. They all seem kind of like giant assholes. So these guys are training. Hey guys, don't let me interrupt you, but we need to deal with Heritage Hill, he says. I can just imagine guys sparring and then saying this stuff like while they're continuing to spar, like, oh, that's new. Weiler's pretty hard on all the novitiates. Commander Cliver himself spars with us sometimes. Yeah, like real life. Well, kinda like real life. I mean, the only difference is between real life and these games is that these games often only have time or, you know, scope to create a few groups, a few factions. Whereas in real life, there are, you know, millions, hundreds, or thousands of different groups and factions and stuff. So out of all of them, you can find at least, you know, a few that you align with philosophically. Whereas in a game, if there's only 3 or 4 or 5, like, different kind of major groups, and you happen to not like any of those, then, you know, that's just how it is, but... People must take example from our resolve. That's an interesting point to make. Here's Wyla. She's obviously in charge here. Looks like she's Ocean Folk, just like my character. Just like... Oh no, Pallegine is not Ocean Folk. She's a godlike, but...
Yeah.
The Ocean Folk, the Calabandra, are one of the 3 races of humans in this game. There's Ocean Folk, Meadow Folk, and Plains Folk, or whatever. I don't think the journal says anything about the races. But Ocean Folk are the much darker skinned ones generally. Thousands of factions, but there are only 2 parties to vote for. Are you implying something about representative democracy? Well, there's only 2 major parties in the political structure, yeah, but I mean that doesn't mean there's not huge groups of various types that have influence, like special interest groups and so forth. And, you know, religions and various sects of those religions and, you know, various, like, NGOs and charities and political groups and, you know, I mean, there's just so many different kind of organizations out there that represent every possible worldview or, you know, that you can imagine pretty much. Whereas, obviously, a game doesn't have the resources to put that many, to cover, like, everything that, you know, you could have. But they usually have a few major groups that are... The Justicar's gaze flicks over to you briefly before returning to the novitiates. I don't think they're using that word correctly. I think they just mean novices. I thought the novitiate is the word you would use to describe the whole group of novices. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But I thought, like, if you said the novitiate, you were talking about, like, all of the novices as a collective. Whereas just the single person would just be a novice. So novitiates seems like that's just not correct, but I don't know. Whatever. I could be wrong, actually. Jen probably knows. Novitiates gathered in the training area. If this is about patrols, my novitiates are already stretched to their limit, between the refugee influx and the mess at Heritage Hill. I simply don't have any units to spare. After a pause, she looks over at you again. I'm sorry, is there something else you need? The mess at Heritage Hill. I haven't heard, actually, I've heard, like, very vague references to Heritage Hill, like, oh no, people are dying in Heritage Hill. But, like, I haven't actually heard in the game what's happening in Heritage Hill until right now, so this will be new information for my character. Yeah, okay, so it's not just completely wrong. Okay, cool then. Well, that shows what I know. Very little. Hey, I'm not the professional writer here. It's sort of an unreasonable expectation. Anytime somebody's a professional writer, you just automatically expect them to know everything about English. You must know every word, every single rule of grammar, automatically. You just know those things. The moment you receive any money for writing, you are expected to know every single thing about English from then on. Hey, Raul, you're hosting me. Thank you so much. Okay, sorry, we'll get back to this here. Is something wrong at Heritage Hill? She lowers her voice. What isn't wrong is the real question. A whole district of walking, flesh-eating corpses? Oh, Animancer's work, huh? We sealed the area 2 months ago, just after I lost one of my finest commanders there. And yet, this is the second guard rotation to disappear. There are already enough rumors about the place floating around the keep without my soldiers whispering about these disappearances. She shakes her head. I'd just as soon abandon the district, but if those monsters should find a way out... Wait, so... She lost one of her finest commanders, second guard, and 2 guard rotations have disappeared there, and these are allegedly the finest fighting force in the Deerwood, with years of training and stuff. I'm not impressed. Yay, Raul. A raid of 1. A cookie raid. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hey, Raul, I wrote a thing about you down in my, if you scroll down, you'll see my section called Streams Which Are Better Than This One or something. And I wrote a little thing about you down there, so check it out. It mentions cookies, too. Brownies are good too, Shadow Ape. Alright, so what I'm hearing is your finest fighting force in the land can't handle these undead, but you need me to. No problem. I guess I got nothing better to do other than my other 30 quests. Tell me about Heritage Hill. Used to be one of the most prestigious districts in Defiance Bay, but a few months ago, the residents all went mad, started eating each other, and anything else that had the bad luck to wander into the district. I've never seen anything like it. In before Animancers caused this. Anonymous says, gets a bruise from a thrown cookie, but is too cool to show the pain. Nice.
Now, every novitiate that stands guard there, everyone that comes back anyway, talks of the stench of the grave and the groans of unspeakable horrors.
She holds up one plate-clad finger. Unspeakable horrors? I mean, that kind of like a... I mean, it was some fucking skeletons and zombies. Like, at this point, is that really an unspeakable horror? I'm not going to go over to fucking Heritage Hill and find Cthulhu there. Then again, maybe I will. Yeah, I wrote that much about... I just can't... I don't have brevity as a thing. That's not a concept in my brain. Like, that whole, like, you should write succinctly and not use a lot of words when you can use a few. Well, I can never use a few. I can't write anything. I send text messages that you have to, like, scroll through. It's ridiculous. Groans of unspeakable horrors. Okay, that sounds like an overreaction, but I'm gonna let you slide this time. She holds up one plate-clad finger. The why and the how are questions for the animancers. Who caused it? I've sealed the district in hopes of containing whatever happened there. It seems to be working, for now. You said earlier that something was wrong at Heritage Hill? Yeah, I know brevity's a virtue, but I can't do it. Like, flash fiction, I could never write that. For me, I would have to write flash fiction. That would be like a sentence for me. It would take me 1,000 words to just write a quick story about how I went to the bathroom. Yeah, I saw that you had put me on yours, Ral. Thank you so much. Oh yeah. I could look into it. Really? Clever 3 getting noticed, huh? She steps back and regards you. So you're the one my novitiates have been talking about. If you're offering help, I won't refuse it. As I hear it, you have a knack for getting the job done. Good night, Jen. Take it easy. Thanks for coming. Thanks for stopping by, chatting, etc. What is this thing called brevity you speak of, says Shadow Ape. Yeah, no kidding, right? I love commas. It's like a sentence could never end if you so did I. So do I. Sometimes I write sentences that have like 6 commas in them, and yeah. I'm like, but I don't want to start a new sentence yet. Don't make me use a period. No. Although I almost never use semicolons. I don't know, I just feel weird about it. When I use a semicolon, I'm like, well, now I'm getting unnecessarily fancy. Feels like I'm being a snob if I type a semicolon. I don't know why it feels that way, but it does. She quietly looks on at the novitiates. I can't lose any more soldiers like this. Not with refugees pouring into the city and the dozens stirring up dissent. Normally, I'd say this is an internal matter, but I can't afford to mount an expedition right now, and I certainly can't afford a crisis of faith at the Crucible Keep. You've got my permission to enter Heritage Hill. I'll send word to the guards at the gate. What do you do here? I'm in charge of the Keep's novitiates. I'm responsible for their training and patrol assignments. She nods at the group gathered in the training room. They're good soldiers, and they've been quick to adapt to new challenges. Farewell. Yay, another new task. Enter Heritage Hill. Wyla, a Justicar in the Crucible Knights, has had several of her novitiates standing guard outside Heritage Hill go missing under mysterious circumstances. Alright, you just said it's all full of undead. That's not that mysterious. Undead killed them. What's mysterious about that? The gate to Heritage Hill is sealed, but Wyla told me that the guards would be expecting me. Alright, alright. Any news from Heritage Hill? I'm still looking into it. By that I mean I haven't moved a fucking foot since the moment you gave me the quest. Report to me immediately once you have something. If there's nothing else, I must attend to my duties. I doubt I'll report to
No
you immediately.
problem.
I'll probably faff around, go into the inn, selling some shit, talking to some people, and then I'll like, get around to reporting to you. But, you know,
I shall be quiet as a calm sea,
good luck with that, though.
which is not very quiet.
I don't think she does that, Shadow Ape. That seems like it would be a bad idea. I'm gonna go over this way now.
Let's see what lies this way.
This is like the kitchen or what? Ooh, camping supplies. I can never carry camping supplies when I find them. Because, like, you know, I can only carry 2. Oh,
I can
okay.
do that.
Stuff. Oh, there's Dunstan. Ah, this is the forge. Tongues of flame lick at the forge, hissing with smoke as hot as a dragon's breath. There's nothing Dunstan can't repair. I hope I get promoted to just a car soon. Oh, so this is another novitiate guy. Alright, Dunstan, what's up? Tongs, hardies, hammers, fullers, and punch tools hang from the wall. They feel heavy and sturdy, but their flame-darkened surfaces testify to frequent use. And it says, hey, Cromwell. Cromwell? What? Oliver Cromwell, Lord Protector of England. The song by Monty Python about Oliver Cromwell. Okay. Quick save before I talk to,
If this is about the breastplates, I already told Cleaver they won't be repaired till next week.
Hey, I'm pretty sure that's the same voice actor as the Caravan Master Odema in the beginning. Dwarf bustles between a sweltering forge fire and a work table. He wipes one muscle-knotted arm across his brow. Muscle-knotted. Oh, Cromwell was the dwarf blacksmith. Oh, really? Okay. I didn't remember that. Oh, hey. This is the guy that can reforge the blade of the endless paths. I found several fragments of an ancient sword. Do you think you could repair it? Dunstan gives a low whistle. That's a fine blade indeed. He holds one fragment in his rough hands. Looks daring. Special made. Must have been a commission for a champion of some sort. He hands the shard back to you. A sword of this caliber would have had a specially designed hilt, too. It would be a shame to graft anything else onto it, and besides, it'll balance best with all of the original pieces. You find the rest of it, and I'll forge it for you. Alright, then. Something else on your mind? What do you do here? What a stupid fucking question. I mean, seriously. I'm gonna ask it, but what the fuck does it look like he does here?
I'm a forge master. I'm a master smith for the Crucible Knights. But the way I see it, I'm also keeping up with our old traditions. The first members of our order were smiths. Nowadays, most everyone's a professional soldier. I suppose it's to be expected, but I think it's important we keep up with our roots, too.
He hefts a hammer in one hand. Okay, that's pretty cool. So they were a smith group, and now they're soldiers. Tell me about the knights.
We were all smiths back in Hodred's day, though I'm about the only one here who still gets his hands dirty. We're a fearsome fighting force, though these days I think Cleaver takes more pride in our parade formations.
He laughs. Interesting. He thinks himself a progressive man, but he's obsessed with soul lineages and connections to the Deerwood's heroes of old. He picks up his hammer again. Other than Dunreed Rowe, who really knows about any of that, though? Ah, she does, apparently. The grieving mother's expression as she looks at Dunstan is somewhere between amusement and pity. Both live in a past of their own imagining. What purpose does it serve when so much depends on action now? Good point. Good point, GM. Goodbye. But I can't buy any weapons or anything from him, huh? Okay.
My eyes are peeled.
Have anything hidden in your forge area? Anything hidden that you would like to not own anymore? And what's all this? Anybody in here? Nobody in here? I can take all this stuff? Well, that's convenient. This is a record of active patrols and reported crimes in Andra's Gift. The latter far outnumber the former. So there's far more crimes than patrols in Andra's Gift. That doesn't surprise me. Well, Penhelm's affidavit. Penhelm's affidavit. Curran, a cipher duly appointed and employed by Dunreed Row, does hereby certify that novitiate A.M. Penhelm has been found to have a soul free of any subversive influences or tainted essence. The scroll is stamped with the seal of Dunreed Row and signed by both Penhelm and Curran. Alright, well, so that's relevant to my quest. Very relevant, apparently. I found an affidavit that confirms the lineage of Penhelm's soul. It is signed by Curran, a cipher of Dunreed Row. But, is it forged, is the question. Ooh, here's a book I haven't read. The Blacksmith Knights, a short history of the Knights of the Crucible. Alright, cool, this is interesting to me. If the blacksmith fails, the armor fails. If the armor fails, the soldier falls. Olrun Syniod, first guild master of the Knights of the Crucible. The Knights of the Crucible have one of the most fascinating and rich histories in all of Eora. Currently holding a position as an incredibly influential group in the Dyrwood, they come from humble beginnings. There may not be a single person in all the Dyrwood who knows exactly how much they owe to the Knights. The group has existed for years, long before they even came to be known as Knights. They started as a group of blacksmiths, led by Olrun Syniod, who came together to form a guild. Olrun felt it imperative for the members to unify, sharing their knowledge through the guild in order to keep the skills and techniques they had spent their lives perfecting. He called the guild the Crucible, insisting that, though their work was used for destruction, they should always be remembered as creators. They would be known as the vessel that withstands the fire to deliver new form into the world, forged in the fire, and all the stronger for the tribulation. Olrun, being a veteran of many battles, knew the importance of impeccably made armor and weaponry. He also espoused the necessity for members of the guild to be trained in martial combat. The only true way to make a proper suit of armor is to be the one who must wear it. Olrun led the guild for years, instituting a policy that any man who wanted to join must not only be a skilled blacksmith, but also take the time to learn how to hold himself in battle. He added a training ground to their guild hall, and there was scarcely a minute of daylight that didn't see members out on the field, honing their fighting technique. Because of this, the guild earned the nickname Knights of the Crucible. They became a de facto militia for the Dyrwood, an honorable group that many turned to for help. They were known to be fair, ethical, and quick to respond. The Knights chose Abaddon as their patron, dedicating their works to his name. To honor him, they incorporated his symbol into their own and wore it on their arms. Many of the knights took this honor further. Regardless of what material a suit of armor was made from, something on the right arm was made with iron, celebrating Abaddon's moniker, the Iron Arm. Both of these traditions are followed by some of the knights to this day. The knights' smithing skill led them to be known throughout the land as the premier artisans of their craft, leading people to call any item of exquisite quality of the Crucible. Their training and dedication truly came into play during the War of Defiance, locally known as Hadrit's Rebellion. Ulrun, knowing the importance of winning this war, sent out a call. All able-bodied knights were to join the militia. They quickly proved invaluable to the cause and helped turn the tide of the rebellion. This was particularly true in the Battle of Defiance Bay. Admeth had already been lost in a previous battle, and morale for the Deerwooden militia was failing. With the help of Glanfathan astrologers, the knights were able to rout the Imperial forces and secure victory for Deerwood. The new Duke, grateful for the help, and knowing that without the knights the Deerwood never would have survived, made a decree. The knights would thenceforth be welcomed into the Duke's castle and become his official royal guard. In recent years, the Crucible aspect has fallen by the wayside in favor of Knight. The requirement that the members be proficient in both smithing and martial combat has loosened to the point that anyone who applies is guaranteed entrance, even if they possess little or no smithing experience. This is an allegation that is vehemently denied by the Knights. Alright, so that's what I thought. They're not all smiths anymore. Even though they're technically supposed to be, I guess. But they're still kind of calling themselves smiths. I serve the Flaming Fist. Yeah, they do kind of remind me of the Flaming Fist for real. Oh man, I remember Flaming Fist all coming after me all the time in Baldur's Gate 1. Yeah, the Flaming Fist. Alright.
A simple test.
Scale armor. And a duelist's hat. Alright. Edict of Arrest. I think I've read that, but I'm gonna see here. This is... Oh yeah, read it. All 3 parts of that I've read. This edict calls for the arrest of Eorn, whose recent actions have led to the death of a Knight of the Crucible. It requests reporting any information to Justicar Aldmar. It is signed Commander Cleaver. Ah, Eorn, I let this guy go. I found this guy down in the catacombs. And I actually, not only did I let him go, I gave him some money to help him go and like make a new life or whatever. So was it a bad idea? I don't know. Maybe he was really a terrible person and I did a terrible thing, but my character is a dissident who was arrested and jailed and escaped and is on the run from the law, so I tend to have a lot of sympathy for such people. I think it's interesting. I can't actually talk to him about that. So I'm guessing, what I'm guessing is, if I had come here first,
and not be seen.
Before ever meeting Eorn, I would have gotten a quest. I would have gotten a task. In fact, I did get a task when I talked to him. I got this one. I have a feeling that I would have gotten this task from them. They would have said, hey, go find this guy for us, and I would have been like, okay, I will. And then when I found him, I could have. But as it was, I just found him and completed the task without ever even coming here and getting the, you know, task itself.
Margrim's fire casts light in dark places.
Alright, this is obviously their chow hall. Their mess hall. This painting shows a row of warriors standing atop the walls of Defiance Bay while Adira's ships sail away. Ah, so that was their victory. They sent the Adirans packing. Okay. This must be the shrine or something, maybe? Their little temple to Abaddon? Let's find out. Nobody in here? Oh, this is just a barracks. There's nobody in here and there's a bunch of shit I can steal? Hell yes! I love rooms with a bunch of shit I can loot and nobody standing in them to guard them.
I can do that.
Mail armor, a soft hat.
I can do that.
Why not? There! Done!
I can do that.
Free stuff. Free stuff. Thick grime cakes the bottom of the tub. The towel hanging from the side gives off an awful stench. Oh, that's their bathroom. Okay. Come to think about it, the racist lieutenant is probably just mad about the murder. Yeah, I mean, we know he hates Orleans, so... maybe that he might have even been innocent. I don't remember my conversation with Eorn, but something about talking to him made me feel like he wasn't really that bad of a guy. That he might have even been innocent. I don't know, did he claim to be innocent? I can't remember. If he did claim to be innocent, then I certainly would have believed him. But he might not have. He might have been like, yeah, I did it, but shit, sorry, but I, you know. And at which point I was like, oh, whatever. All is forgiven. Here's some money. Go about your life. Read that. Oh yeah, that's the book about Abaddon that I was talking about a few minutes ago that I've already read, but it was pretty cool. It definitely seemed cooler than the other gods. There were like 1 or 2 things out of these 9 things. There was like 1 or 2 that I didn't completely agree with, but the others I all thought were pretty awesome. Not going to read it again because I already did, but... ah, apparently I can put something on the altar. This is the symbol of Abaddon, a colossal smithing hammer imposed over a circular gear. It's smooth and bright with buffing oils. Wonder what happens if I put like a weapon on the altar. Does it get better? That'd be awesome. I'm assuming that didn't actually do anything, but sure would be cool if it did. Oh, a deer wants to talk to me.
Strange place for a shrine to Abaddon, Crucible Keep. Maybe it made more sense at some point before it gathered all that dust. The only thing the Knights of the Crucible worship these days is the nobility, as far as I understand it.
Really? I knew some soldiers who got recruited by the Knights after the war was over. They told me some about it. They get these young kids in there and they tell them about the blacksmithing and about the revolution and about tradition. Talk about the golem like he created the Crucible Knights in his forge to go win Deerwood's independence. Then they join, and it turns out all any of those knights ever talks about is when are we going to get recognized as a real knighthood? When are we getting our titles and our land? Their High Justice wants to be an earl, says it's Abaddon's will. He's got a castle and an army. You wonder how long he'll wait before he starts a war over it, saying Abaddon told him to. And Adair is not a fan of any of these factions either. He's pretty much had bad stuff to say about all of them. He called the dozens the loudmouth cheap fuckers, which was the single best line of dialogue from him, or maybe anyone that I saw in the game. And the nobles will respond that their gods told them that they're the only true nobles. Trouble with having all these gods is you got support no matter how dumb your ideas are. Maybe we had the right idea of blowing some of them up. Less of them to hide behind. Alright, so...
Hey.
Adair is certainly not very much... doesn't have a lot of faith left, obviously.
Of course.
My thoughts will be as silent as my feet.
I don't like being fatigued. See, everybody in my group, I think... Well, obviously he does. He has a ton of athletics. So does she. I think they all have... He has 2, he has 2. She has 5. I'm the only one that has no athletics, so I'm the one that always gets fatigued first. So this is the last room in this whole place. This must be where that Penhelm guy is gonna be. Oh, and Commander Cleaver. He's a jaded cynic, a man after your own heart. Yeah, a little bit.
We just don't have the manpower.
Don't have the manpower for what? Oh, hello.
Eh?
Chest that's conveniently
problem.
far enough away from everybody that I can easily unlock it and steal from it. And a quick save before I do, just in case.
This won't stop me for long.
Ooh, a fine warbow. That's surprisingly not much loot, considering the difficulty of that unlock.
This won't stop me for long.
Oh, there's some plate armor. That'd be a nice place to come get plate armor at the very beginning of Act 2 if you needed it. Oh, there's part 1. I've been carrying around part 2 of this book for a long time. Now I can finally read those. Is this the same Edict of Arrest? Guess so. And there's another copy of that book I've already got. Where's Penhelm? Did I miss him somewhere? I was in here. I was in there. I was in there and there. And there. What's this room? Did I ever go in this room? I didn't actually ever go in this room, did I? Alright, well, we'll go back to that in a second.
Alright then.
So now that I've looted the place, this document estimates the flow of refugees over the past 3 months. The figures grow by the week. This is a map, obviously. Map shows the environment surrounding Defiance Bay. Flags mark strategic access points to the city. Right. There's a flag way over here. How is this a strategic access point to the city? Whatever. Let's talk to Commander Cleaver. Just another random quick save. Actually, wait. Some containers have level dependent loot. Just saying. Really? I hate that, actually. Like, that's cool in a way, but in another way it sucks, because it means you are always like, I don't want to loot this until I'm level 12 or whatever, like, which is shitty. Well, I'm just gonna loot stuff as I come to it, regardless. I mean, Gonna read these real quick. Development of a Crucible Knight Part 1, Lower Ranks. In recent years, the Knights of the Crucible have evolved as a group, no longer concentrating solely on blacksmithing or combat training. Sorry. They've adjusted their focus to help initiates develop their souls as well as their bodies. From initiation, there is a well-defined path to the top of the order. Squire. When a candidate shows sufficient prowess in blacksmithing, or recently, at least the drive and potential, he is accepted into the order as a squire. Once he is part of the order, training begins immediately. Lessons are divided into two main sections: body, commanded by the Lord Marshal, and soul, overseen by the Grand Crucilar. At this point in their progression, the only uniform the squire is allowed is a simple cloth uniform displaying the knight's colors. Novitiate. After sufficient training, each squire is given a 3-part test. He must repair a broken piece of armor, he must recite the Canticles of Abaddon from memory, and he must be able to land a blow on a novitiate in combat. If he succeeds at all 3 of these tasks, he is promoted to the position of novitiate. At this point, he is given his first official piece of Crucible armor, a brigandine. His training now doubles, as only the most valiant of candidates makes it through to the next level. Justicar and Templus. When a novice shows he is ready, decided by his teachers and trainers, he must make a decision. His training and advancement from this point on will focus on one of the 2 disciplines, body or soul. Novitiates that choose body continue military training as a Justicar under the Lord Marshal. Novitiates that choose soul are given clerical training as a Templus under the Grand Crucilar. Justicar or Templus, the newly appointed, is taken through the ritual of the arm. He is given his plate armor and symbol of Abaddon. He is then taken to the Smith's Forge, named after Abaddon, and is tasked with forging a small nail out of iron. He affixes this nail to his armor, under Abaddon's symbol, and will wear it there for the rest of his life as a Knight of the Crucible. At this point, the Knight's training is fixed. If he chose body, that is the path he is on till the end of his days. If he chose soul, there is no deviating from the course. That is why the choice is only presented after he has been through many months of training. Sounds pretty cool. Development of Crucible Knight Part 2, Senior Ranks. Commander and Forge Master. Once a path is chosen, the knight's life is spent training in his preferred discipline. The pomp and formalities that surround his life up to this point are all but gone. The training is far more rigorous and there is less ceremony to mark his progress. For most knights, Commander, Body, or Forge Master, Soul, are further than they will ever advance. The training of a knight at this level, while almost exclusively in the discipline he has chosen, is still rounded out with instruction from the other. A knight is not truly a knight if he does not have a full breadth of knowledge. When he passes from Justicar to Commander, the knight is given a blue cape to wear with his plate armor. When a Templus rises to the position of Forge Master, he is presented with a white cloak. Marshal and Crucilar. After time spent training, an elite knight that shows true leadership potential and promise is elevated to the next level. A knight of the body becomes a Marshal, and a knight of the soul becomes a Crucilar. At this point, he is in command of a small group of knights, Commander, Forge Master, and below. He is responsible for the recruitment, initiation, and advancement of new squires. Many knights do not want to advance to this level and beyond because the role becomes less hands-on and more advisory. Marshals are known by their purple capes, while Crucilars are distinguished by a gold cloak. Lord Justicar and Grand Templus. A Marshal or Crucilar that shows true and effective command over the knights in his keeping may be offered the position of Lord Justicar of the body or Grand Templus of the soul. Truly a command position, a knight that accepts one of these roles will be removed from the front lines. Because of this, it is only the most dedicated leaders that take either of these positions. Lord Marshal and Grand Crucilar. There is not a single knight that oversees the entire group. This responsibility is split between the Lord Marshal body and the Lord Crucilar soul. Any knight that advances to this position does so only with the support of the knights as a whole. He must be nominated and selected by a majority of the knights. Once in the position, he is there for life. The Lord Marshal or Lord Crucilar may step down from his post if he so chooses. That is only to retire from the life of a knight. The stress and responsibility of this position is such that many refuse it, even if they are capable of handling it. Lord Marshals and Crucilars are well known and generally respected throughout the land, not just within the Knights. Alright, well now we understand how the Knights of the Crucible work. We've read their history, we've read about their whole rank structure and promotions. We know this group pretty well. We know them pretty well. Alright, Commander Cleaver. So, like, where are all of their bosses and stuff? If this guy's just a commander, where's all these other higher ranks? There's none of them here? Or maybe there's other levels to this keep that I'm just not allowed to go to. And that's where the bigger people are. I don't know. Well, I will speak with Commander Cleaver in our next video. Because that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you for watching. This has been Josiah Plays Pillars of Eternity.